We're theme park families.
Theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Won't you join us now?
We're theme park families.
Thanks for joining us, we aim to please.
If roller coasters got you weak in the knees,
We're theme park families.
if you wanna find the best dessert or
Take a potty break with privacy,
find a coaster that is tame for little ones,
or one to make you scream.
we're theme park families.
Everybody's having bad babies.
Rescuing you all from my surgeries.
We're theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Press the space bar. Yeah.
Yay!
The bags are packed, the tank is full, and the country awaits us for our long trip. Are you excited to go?
Oh, yep.
It's gonna be great. When Mike and EB announced the summer meetup, feels like it was years and years away. But here we are, just a couple of days left, and we'll be there. But really, these trips aren't as much about the credits or the coasters we've done or the parks we love. Really, what are these trips truly about?
About seeing all of the coaster enthusiasts that we know from Coasterradio.
Oh, exactly. All of our buddies. That's what this is about. And we're so excited to see so many people. Like,
Members of theme park families ride this one and two, Coasterradio, Civil Gore, CoasterNet, Uncut, and In the Loop will be there.
so many people, so many friends from all those different podcasts and shows will be there. So that is kind of awesome. Our favorite crustacean as
Yep.
well,
Bob the Lobster.
who's a part of so many of those shows as well, will be there. Chris from Columbus, the Beard Man, who maybe knows more about coasters than anyone we know, along with Dan the T-shirt guy, Eric Flynn, possibly the Cytos, and new friends like Brinks from Missouri, we haven't even talked about yet,
Yep.
who you guys rode a lot of rides with.
Yeah, at Hollywood Night.
So he's going to be there since he's friends with Slater and from Missouri, so a home park of his that he's really proud of. But the trip doesn't end there, simply with that. For where else are we going on this trip?
We're going to Texas to do all of those Six Flags parks.
Also the three-lettered ZDTs to maybe do Switchback if we're able to get there. That Gravity Group credit, that looks pretty awesome. On the way out, possibly stopping at Waldemere, and on the way back, maybe stopping at Alabama Splash Adventure, over Georgia, and then heading home from there. So lots of different places that we'll be heading, new credits to get, and new exciting tales to tell. Now speaking of tales to tell, there's something that we really need to talk about a little bit with Andrew's 200th. We did polls, and thank you for those who voted on it. We will be definitely in the next few days doing Andrew's 200th coaster. We talked about that Steel Vengeance was number 199, and you'll be finding out here in the next couple days which credit will be number 200. The polls were very exciting and very different, with a lot of interesting opinions about the coasters. So thanks again to those who voted. I think we'll even be headed to a park that we talked about before it opened on Andrew's News, which is America's Fun Park in Branson, Missouri, where I think they have about 3 different credits, although one hasn't been open a lot. We'll be heading there as well. Well, our topic today involves 2 mini meetups that we had over the last 2 years, with EB and his family at Kennywood last year, and then a bonus year that we got this year, which will be one of the next episodes on Coasterradio. I think that they're going to be putting out soon. Before we get to some news, our friend Mike, a friend of Dan the T-shirt guy who I met at Great Adventure a number of years ago, who had an internship at GCI and is just finishing an internship at Carowinds, who is in engineering and wants to be in the industry, so really excited to have him as a friend. He sent us this trip report about a new coaster for this year that he rode for the first time, as well as a new park that he got to, and hopefully we're going to ride that coaster soon. So let's have a listen.
Hey Adam and Andrew, Mike Troyce calling in just after getting back from my first visit to Six Flags over Georgia. While I enjoyed the rides on many of the coasters throughout the day, I figured I'd focus more specifically on Twisted Cyclone, which is their new for 2018 RMC Iron Horse conversion of the old Georgia Cyclone. While this layout is rather small, the coaster really packs a punch. I absolutely love the quick succession of elements as you race around the track. While I did find it a little short, I think it makes up for it in thrills. While I've only ridden 2 other RMC coasters up to this point, which are Lightning Rod and Wicked Cyclone, I actually think this one is one that I've really enjoyed the most so far. Lightning Rod was absolutely incredible, but it really didn't do itself any favors, being that I spent 3 days at Dollywood since its opening, and it has operated a total of 1 hour in the 3 days at the park. Kind of frustrating. Anyway, just want to let the listeners know I definitely was impressed by Twisted Cyclone. I look forward to getting on Twisted Timbers this coming week. Love the show, and keep up the great work.
So thanks so much, Mike, for sending that in. Some really good info. And what do you think of Twisted Cyclone?
It sounds really good. I mean, it doesn't look that short.
In terms of RMCs, I think it might even be duration-wise the shortest. That they really didn't...
Really?
Yeah, they really didn't add a lot to the lift hills. So height-wise, it's pretty short. So it is a pretty short circuit. But the elements are supposed to be great. That it's non-stop action. So even though it is shorter, just the elements happen boom, 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 one after the other. And that way it's supposed to be great. Interesting to hear that he said he liked this better than Lightning Rod and Wicked Cyclone. 2 great rides that we happen to love. But Lightning Rod, you can understand it. It's amazing still hearing people talking about going to Dollywood here recently, including Floppy Hat Tony, who we'll see at the meetup, who said, again, the 3rd time he's gone and it hasn't been open at any point in time. Understandable, a lot of people have some anger towards that ride. Just to enjoy it the most out of those 3 says a lot about it. Mike, thanks a lot again for sending that in, and thanks for the kind words. And anyone else who has experiences like that, anything new to them, exciting that happens, please send us an MP3 to themeparkfamilies@gmail.com. All right, let's have some news.
If not riding coasters will give you the blues, it's Andrew's news.
Boy, a lot has been going on just in the last couple of days.
Extreme rains over the last few days closed both Knoebels and Hershey Park on Monday due to flooding. They are supposed to open back up on Tuesday. The zoo is supposed to stay closed.
Some pretty intense rain over the last couple of days that the whole Northeast is facing.
That's crazy. I mean, we got even a little bit of flooding here too, and at the Jersey Shore. So that's pretty crazy to hear that they got that much more than us.
One of my favorite parts of our house where we live just outside Ithaca, New York, is we have a mini gorge behind our house. And we have a waterfall that we call Andrix Falls. And it's probably about 12 feet wide. Right now it is an absolute torrent, completely dark brown, as we've gotten plenty of rain. Well, we know both those parks have a history of flooding, right?
Yeah.
When you go to Knoebels, what do you see all over the place?
So when you're walking over the bridges, you can see the marks showing, in 1956, the water level was to here, or something like that.
And those lines, some of them are in the middle of buildings, so pretty incredible. But that creek that runs through does have a habit of flooding. It's not anything new to them, and it's amazing how quickly they get their park up and looking great. Not a big deal there. With Hershey, it's a bit more of an issue with the zoo, as in the past there have been some issues with animals and protecting them and keeping them safe. So that's always a little bit scary on that end. And it's going to be interesting in the next couple of years with the new expansion to see if that is going to be part of that floodplain, because it's crazy with a park that generates so many tens of millions of dollars and has rides that alone cost tens of millions of dollars, that this keeps happening.
I feel like they should go to Knoebels side, where they should probably dig up a little, little divot or something to get when it floods, to get the rain caught in, kind of like a mini river or something.
It would be nice if they had some way to divert those waters, but those kind of projects would cost a lot of money. Something that they deal with all the time. Every couple of years they have that kind of flooding, and hopefully it doesn't do a ton of damage.
The summer of theme park fires continues and has struck Busch Gardens Williamsburg, as their Escape from Pompeii ride has experienced a small fire on the roof. No one was on the ride when the fire broke out, and no one was injured. The ride is closed until further notice.
This is one that just happened that you hadn't heard of yet.
No, I haven't even heard of it until this Andrew's news. That's crazy. How many fires have there been? And think about it. I feel like this is the summer that we're getting cursed, because last summer and summers in the past few years, we haven't gotten one fire, and then we've got all these fires in 1 year.
We're almost at double digits now. It's getting to that level. But thankfully, and the best point of all this is that no one's been injured.
Yeah.
Rides and buildings can be replaced, but human life cannot. So
it's kind of like the operators are trying to make fires just to, like, get people, like,
No, it's Hagrid.
hyping it.
It's Hagrid.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, it's not people. Hagrid is half people, I guess.
He's
And half giant.
Yeah. Mom's a giant, Dad's a person?
Yeah, a person, a human, exactly. Crazy stuff, but thankfully the ride's okay. That's one we still haven't done yet, as we were only there once, and that was in October.
Halloween Horror Nights or whatever they have.
Exactly, their Halloween version, and I don't even think it was open, as it was cold that day anyway.
No, because it was down.
Oh,
because
that's right.
they had the zombie hunt there.
Exactly, like Curse of Dark Castle, it had to be closed for the haunt.
Steel curtain was announced for the 2019 season at Kennywood. The S&S coaster will be 220 feet tall, have the highest inversion on a coaster at 197 feet, have 9 inversions with a top speed of 75 miles per hour. It is a part of the new Steelers Country Zone.
What do you think about this addition for Kennywood?
It looks like it's very fun. There are a lot of weird inversions where it goes up and then it goes straight, then it goes back down.
Yeah, some interesting stalls. That first one is pretty cool. The record breaker for highest inversion on a ride. So that looks pretty neat. A lot of coaster enthusiasts, and you might be surprised by this, that a lot of people in the enthusiast community aren't big sports fans. So when this was all announced, a lot of people were like, oh, don't really care for the colors or the theme. What even is Steel Curtain? As a lot of people aren't familiar with football and the fact that that was the Steelers defense and the nickname that they had long ago. And it makes sense for Pittsburgh to have a steel curtain coaster. For those outside of Pittsburgh, it might not make too much sense. But since the large majority of their audience is going to be from that area, I think it's a win for the park. Now, the ride itself, does it look like anything you've ever done before?
It looks a little bit like Powder Keg, just a little bit, but the reason it doesn't is because Powder Keg is a little more spread out, whereas this one, it just weaves around itself a lot. Whereas Powder Keg isn't as spread out as Steel Curtain.
The only other S&S coaster you've done, so it has some similarities there. But yes, this is a radically different type layout. And I love the fact that it is so unique, at least in the Northeast, that we don't have anything that looks like this. Record-breaking amount of inversions for America, and I think this is a hit as long as its reliability, which is a lot of what people question with this ride. Is it going to be reliable? And really, we're not dealing with launches or any kind of new technologies, so the hope is that it won't be any issue in terms of its reliability. But I think this is a huge win for the park, and I really love that this is coming to Kennywood. Can't wait to get on it next year.
Some enthusiasts are losing their mind as Cedar Point and Kings Dominion no longer allow cell phones on their rides.
Okay, so this is news that has just come out in the last couple of days. Cedar Point's is pretty new. Kings Dominion, it's been about a week or so that now phones are not allowed on Twisted Timbers or Steel Vengeance at all. And the interesting thing about the sign at Steel Vengeance is it says anyone caught with a phone, it is a misdemeanor. Whether they're going to truly go after everyone. Do you know what a misdemeanor means?
No.
So it's like a mid-level crime. A felony is the highest, a misdemeanor is below that. So it's something that would go on your record, could potentially be a huge fine. And so this is how serious they're being about this, that the injuries that have occurred on El Toro and Twisted Timbers, a lot of parks are saying enough. And so they're going to have to spend a couple of dollars at the lockers to put away their phones. And a lot of people are questioning, wait a second, there are way more people who are going to need to use these lockers than there are lockers. So are there going to be lines at the lockers? Now this is creating a lot of tension, and I wouldn't even necessarily care about having the phone in the line. It's not like we need to be on it or playing games or anything. Occasionally we do play charades.
Yeah.
Now for us, if we have a phone, we always put it in a zippered pocket, and those responsible enthusiasts do that. But unfortunately we know that there are GP members who take out their phones and take pictures, and that causes problems. So that's kind of why they need to do this. With liabilities and lawsuits, this seems to be the wave of the future, which is making a lot of people unhappy. And it's weird because some people are calling it a cash grab, a money grab, but that's not at all what I think the motive for this is. It's the lawsuits and the injuries that, unfortunately, those few people, the less than 1% who do these things, make lives miserable for the rest of the 99.8%. So I think this is going to just be happening more and more as time goes on. On to Kennywood, where it was last winter, that EB presented, so now a year and a half ago, that EB presented a crazy President's Day sale for around $25 a ticket to Kennywood. And so we had never been, so we were like, okay, definitely, we'll do that. That's a great deal. So we went last year. Maddie was 2 last year and 3 this year, our Maddie. And it makes it tougher to marathon coasters for all of us. When you have a little one, they need more breaks and other things. Last year, diaper changes, and this year, bathroom just makes things a little bit more difficult. No, Andrew, I didn't say you needed diaper changes. It's okay. Well, EB's 3 kids and ours, after a good now 3 years, know each other really well. They met 2-3 times a year for 3 years now, and it works out really well. There's 2 older boys in each family and a younger girl, both named Maddie or Madeline. And Mark and EB's Maddie and Dean, all 3 of them, really love to take care of our Maddie. It's like their opportunity to have a young sister again who's like a toddler, and it's really cute. They all vie to push her stroller as the day goes along. It's really great when our 2 families hang out together and they have a lot of fun. And our connection to their family is even crazier as we learned this past winter. Melissa's father, my father-in-law, is good friends from college age era with EB's wife's mom. So Triss's parents, EB's wife, went to our wedding, and my in-laws were at Triss and EB's wedding over a decade ago. We had this connection that we didn't even know. We found out last year when Triss's mom made a comment about her grandchildren on a Facebook post. Well, Melissa is Facebook friends with Triss's mom, and she was like, wait a second, what? We know them. That's your grandkids? So EB's family and mine, we have a connection that goes back some, 40 years or so, 45 years. It's pretty crazy. So last year, EB only came out with his oldest son, Mark, right?
Yeah.
And this year, he took the whole family out. Showing the incredible customer service that Kennywood has, the story was pretty crazy last year, where there was truly an hour left in the day. We got there at opening of the park. And what happened with an hour left?
It was raining, so they had to close the park down. And while we were exiting the park, they were just handing out free tickets.
And the funny thing is, it hadn't even actually started raining yet. There were thunderstorm clouds looming, truly an hour left, and they said everyone who's still in the park will give you free tickets to use either this year or next year. So that was a pretty amazing gesture, and being open literally 90% of your day, that wasn't required at all. So I thought that was a brilliant move, and it really worked out well as we came back this year and we spent money on food and drinks and other things. So it was a win for both of us. So I thought that was a really great move on their part. Well, it really is such a unique park with a very different feel to it, as I would think you'd agree. Some parts of it feel kind of modern, some feel like they're stuck way back in time.
Yeah.
It's a unique mix of very old and new stuff, right?
Yep.
So there's some weird things like the Roman columns around the Shoot the Chutes ride, the Pittsburgh Plunge. You've got the trees in that lovely area near Johnny Rockets, and there's some beautiful gardens and fountains. The charms of the old wooden coaster entrances that look like they're super old. Classic rides that you really can't find anymore anywhere. Kiddie areas with trees with many older rides big parks don't have anymore. The ravine, I think, adds some excitement, including the turtle ride where Phantom's Revenge meets Thunderbolt. Some really cool picture opportunities. So a really interesting mix of very different parts of that park, and I really think it works out well. I don't know if you experienced this too in our 2 days there. I thought the employees were way above average. Now, not talking like Holiday World level. Both times we went, I thought the employees were very friendly and smiled and greeted us. Some of them even talked to you guys. The second day that we were there, where it was super hot, all the stands, they were very friendly about giving us ice water because it was super hot. Let's talk first of all about the unique flat rides and dark rides first to start out with, because I think that's one of the things, even more than the coasters, that makes this park so unique. You can't start out any other way than starting out with Noah's Ark. And I think between the 2 days, especially Alex and Madeline did that so many times, but you did it plenty as well.
No, I did it the exact same times that they did it.
Okay, so you did a lot too. So between the 2 days, I think like 6 or 7 times it seemed. And I think they just had refurbished that a couple of years ago. What makes Noah's Ark special?
It's just a really fun dark ride. It's like a silly house where it has all those like jokes like the mirrors and the spinning funnel, and it just looks pretty, and it's a nice time waster or whatever.
It's unique. It's different. EBU calls them Zombie Noah because it just kind of looks creepy, the statue of Noah. Yeah, having all the animals all over. I don't know about you, but some of the parts of it, once you get onto the part of Noah's Ark that actually moves, makes me a little dizzy. Does it do it to you at all?
Nah.
Once through is enough for me. Even the whale spouts water every about 30 seconds or so.
Wait, what whale?
The whale at the entrance. It's literally as you walk in before you even get to the ship.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, the blue whale at the front that you walk through its mouth. So really kind of cool. And I think they even added a couple of rooms that were changed or unique from the original Noah's Ark.
Which ones?
It's where you getting close to the exit. Some of those rooms that you walk through that say, be careful, this could make you disoriented. A couple of those rooms towards the end were new after the animals are done. So some of those wacky elements.
Like the spinning?
Yeah, I think some of those things. Exactly, the tunnel and all that you walk through. And in that way, some of that reminds me a little bit of whatever it's called, the Silver Dollar City. Grandpa's Shack or whatever that's called.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
So it reminded me of that a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah.
Really kind of cool and so great that they put money into it to make it great again. Make Noah's Ark great again. And I think they did. One thing we didn't do the first time that we wanted to do the second time, the turtle ride, which is from 1927, 90 years old. What did you think of the turtle ride? Was it turtly enough for your turtle likes? Turtle. And it was funny because the ride operator was even doing that the whole ride. Turtle. Turtle, turtle. Was it turtly enough for you, Andrew? Did you like the turtle?
Yeah, I did.
And it's fun because it really does throw you around a little bit. It's a lot better than like a Great Adventure. They have the pirate ride. What is that called again? No, not Swashbuckler. What is the Great Adventures version of that? That's smaller.
Jolly Roger.
Jolly Roger, exactly. So this is like a much bigger Jolly Roger with much bigger hills and just so much fun. Loved it. And it looks so cool there amidst Phantom's Revenge, where it goes like really, really close to the track. So really love Turtle. Ghostwood Estate was one that I did last year. I didn't do it this year, but I think you did it when I was with Maddie.
Yeah.
That's the shooter ride?
Yep.
And did you like it?
Yeah, it's fun, but it's so hard because, let's say, in one room, there are at least 25 targets to shoot at. So it's very hard.
And that's what I remembered from last year, exactly. It was our first time in it, and there are so many targets you don't get to look at the theming. And compared to a Boo Blasters, there's way more in Ghostwood Estate than Blue Blasters, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, in Blue Blasters, there would be around the range of 7 to 10, whereas in the one at Kennywood, there's around 25 to 30.
So much to look at,
And
exactly.
yeah, I feel like every time you do that ride, you can't just shoot. I feel like you have to take 3 or 4 times just to look at all the theming.
I know that's something EB said he wanted to do, was just go on it once and not shoot at all, just to look around. I don't think he wound up having the time to do that, but it really is amazing. And I think most of the theming are just skeletons, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it just skeletons everywhere?
Yeah, pretty much.
And I forget, is there a pre-show room?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, and what is it? Do you get introduced to like the owner of the house or something like that?
Yeah, and he tells you to like blast all of his ghosts away.
Okay.
Because they've been invading his house since he's been dead.
Great start with those 2 dark rides, Noah's Ark and Ghostwood Estate.
And something that they have to fix also is some of the guns weren't working.
Ah, okay. And that's a problem, because that can ruin your ride more than anything if you're trying to be competitive.
But then at least you could just look around, like I said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is fun on that ride because there's so much to look at. Well, unfortunately, what's not as great is Garfield's Nightmare. It's part of a very old ride, but was re-themed. And what do you think of Garfield's Nightmare?
It's weird.
It really is. I mean, Garfield just feels like it's kind of irrelevant in modern America. They're all kind of flat sets that show you a story, and it just... Yeah.
And you can, like, hear the air going in the animatronics.
Oh, yeah, all the whooshing all over the place.
Yeah.
And then some of the audio kind of blends over each other going from scene to scene. But I would love a re-theme. I think that could be very cool for that ride and reinvigorate that ride. I'm not sure what it would be that would work. But it's kind of neat to be in an old boat ride like that. But it's time, I think, to get rid of Garfield here in the next couple of years. Well, one that we didn't do last year, but we got to do this year was Kangaroo. Another flat ride that is unique and you really can't find anywhere else. What did you think of Kangaroo?
It's weird. because I was really excited when I saw this because there's actually a jump in the track.
It's so weird. Yeah, it's one of these circular spinning rides where you're in a car that's sort of like a scrambler car. You can fit 3, I believe.
Yeah,
right.
3.
You can fit 3, and it goes around and around on a wheel, but then you go over this jump for one part, and it's just a silly feel.
Yeah, and I feel like the name suits it. Kangaroo?
Yeah.
Because you're basically jumping the track, so kangaroo is a great name.
And that's kind of a mascot of the park, Kenny Kangaroo and all that. So another unique flat ride. Well, there were a bunch of rides that still both days we didn't do just because we just didn't have enough time. Like the Whip, that's from 1918. It's celebrating its 100th year, but we've done Whips before.
We didn't even see the Whip. I didn't.
I have no clue where the Whip is. I think it actually might be near Exterminator up there. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's an outdoor Whip, you remember? It's not indoor.
Oh, yeah. It's right next to the Exterminator.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird to have an outdoor Whip like that compared to Dornies or Knobles that are indoors. We haven't done the 4D theater either time, but I don't feel like we were missing a ton. Paddle boats we didn't do. The Kitty Auto Race, that's from 1930. You didn't do that, but it wasn't open last time either. A bunch of things that we didn't do. The Aero 360s you did both times. That's kind of like Dornies, and those are fun flat rides. Black Widow, the sleeping hit. We didn't do it the first time because Andrew wasn't quite 52 inches last year, but we wound up doing Black Widow with Dean and EB, and it was odd because what did they give us, like a ticket for the seat or something?
Yeah, they gave the kids, like me and Dean, they gave us a little card for what seat to sit in.
I'm not sure exactly why that was, but okay. What did you think of this pendulum ride, Black Widow?
It's probably the best type of that I've ever done.
Yeah, Max Air is pretty close too, but Black Widow just loved it. The cycle was so incredibly long, it felt like we were at that max height for like 6, 7, 8 swings. Whereas Delirium, still on King's Dominion, it feels like it's over in a minute. That was really a ton of fun.
And one other thing is it's going towards the ravine, so once you're at one of the swings that's going really high, it looks like you're gonna fall into the ravine. It's very fun.
Exactly. I just loved it, and what a great ride. We were just laughing the whole time. We had a great cycle and absolutely loved it. The swing shot, you went up doing that one. I didn't get a chance to do it. I was with Maddie, but you did it with Mama and the others, and that's their swing version.
It's actually kind of bad.
Okay. Pretty uneventful, a smaller arc to it.
It was boring.
You did Cosmic Chaos with Mama. That's that spinning track ride that's UFO alien themed.
No, not as good as the one at
Silver Dollar City?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're in the trees there. That one is a ton of fun.
I think the one at Silver Dollar City is a little bit higher and faster, so...
Which is definitely possible, different size models. One of the sleeper hits, and I remember doing one as a kid, many, many years ago as a young kid. The Bayern Curve. I think I did one on Long Island. And the Bayern Curve, you did it twice. What did you think of Bayern Curve as a flat ride?
It was so fun.
Yes.
And it went pretty fast for a flat ride.
And a flat ride that's that old. Those are ancient. The one annoying part of that ride to me was...
that loud horn. It feels like your ears are bleeding.
And I couldn't believe it. Alex did fine with that. Alex, who does not like loud noises, he did fine with it. Thomastown, not open yet, but it looks like it's going to be great when it opens. Kids are going to love it. It really does look like a mini Thomastown. It really replicates it well from the cartoons, and they weren't that close when we were there, but I think August is the plan. Raging Rapids, you wound up doing it, right?
We did it.
You did it with EB and...
EB and Mark and Alex.
What did you think of that Rapids ride?
It's okay, but...
No waterfalls?
No, there aren't any waterfalls, but the boring thing about it is if it's a really hot day and you kind of want to get a little wet, there's only one part at the end where you get wet, and it's only one person that gets decently wet. The person facing that side of the... And even that person doesn't get that wet, drenched completely. Right. So, So in that way, a little disappointing. Yeah. To summarize, what a great collection of flat rides. Some new, some thrilling, some old, some slow, and it's great variety. In terms of flat rides, along with Canada's Wonderland that has such a diverse, great mix, I think Kennywood's is a pretty great collection just because of how different it is. Yep. Well, on to the coasters, and unfortunately we've only done each one twice.
Starting off at the littlest, Lil Phantom. You probably don't even remember Lil Phantom in the kiddie section, but holy cow, that's got to be one of the smallest kid coasters you'll ever see. The lift hill is about 5 feet tall, and that's about all you can say for that. Now, Jackrabbit. Before you get to the ride, it's my favorite parent swap ever. To me, parent swaps can be difficult because I feel so guilty being led in the station to a seat and having to take someone's seat while they're in line, and then it just feels awkward. And a lot of times I say, sorry, we're just doing parent swap. I'm not any kind of VIP or anything, or fast pass or anything like that. So Jackrabbit has my favorite one because you go up into the exit station, then you enter the ride there, then the train pulls into the entrance station, and then everyone goes into the station. So you're not taking anyone's spot as they don't wait in the station. They're just let in and go to the rows that they want. So in that way, there's no anger, there's no tension. I love that. Now Jackrabbit, which is only a couple years away from its 100th anniversary from 1921. What did you think of it?
It's great. I mean, it feels so short though, but it's great with that double down.
Yes.
And for such an old coaster, it's running very well.
It really is. And I'm glad you brought that up because the maintenance that they do on these coasters are absolutely amazing. Comparing it to another park that has 3 wooden coasters with Holiday World, this is why it's so hard to compare coasters for me and rank them now. Holiday World's 3 coasters are just insane. They're out of control, intense, amazing coasters. Well, then you take these 3 wooden coasters at Kennywood, and are they anything alike?
No, they're so much more different. I feel like these ones are more about like the scenic views.
They're nowhere near as intense, and they're so smooth and well taken care of and not aggressive that Melissa actually loves these. That there are very few wooden coasters she likes because they do kind of rattle her and she doesn't enjoy them, but she loves all 3 of these. And I love that 2 of the wooden coasters don't immediately go to a lift hill, right? That you go to a drop.
Yeah, you go to a drop, then around the middle of the ride, you have the lift hill.
Yeah, so unique. And Jackrabbit's so cute. Some of those drops are so much fun. And seeing bushes and trees underneath you and the views, as you said, were just great. So I love that ride. And it doesn't feel at all like it's almost 100 years old. Comparatively, at Six Flags America, their Wild One feels like it's a little bit older in comparison. Yeah, that just celebrated its 100th anniversary. Well, on to Racer, and I love that building, that entrance with the curving Racer sign and that red building and the queue that is very different, that it goes back and forth just in front of it. Racer is so unique, and I love it. And I am turned around a lot with dueling coasters. When they duel, aren't they so much fun?
Yeah, and they're so much fun because you get that little sense of competition, like, oh, I'm going to beat you. No, you're going to lose or stuff like that. And on Racer, if you pay attention, you're going to win every time. Like, let's say one side, like the green side, loses on a round before you. And so you do the green side because then it goes like, one side wins, then the other side wins. And one side wins, then the other side wins.
That sounds kind of fair.
So, basically, yeah, if you just pay attention, then you'll win it every time.
Which is an interesting theory. So, and you are competitive, even though something like a racing coaster is completely out of your hands. You can't do a better job and go faster. And I give them a ton of credit there, because each time we've done it, both times, the dispatchers were great about sending both at the same exact time, right? Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah. And you noticed something.
Yeah, well.
Remember the kid in front of us?
The kid in front of us, what was he doing?
He had snow boots on.
Well, brilliant observation. I forgot about that. And that's because snow was in the forecast that day?
Yeah, snow was in the forecast when it was almost in the 90s.
Oh, it was 90s. It was about 94 degrees. So, yeah, that was funny. Maybe that's the only footwear that kid had. I don't know. What other motivation could there have been for that kid having snow boots?
I don't know.
He was pretty young. I can't imagine someone wearing snow boots to make a kid just a little bit taller to get on a ride.
That's insane.
That's unethical and insane. Exactly. Good memory. So I like that. Some parks are completely oblivious towards getting both trains on a racing coaster at the same time. I'm not naming any parks, but you've seen it, where one train goes out 6 seconds earlier. And that's, I think, kind of annoying. Well, on to Thunderbolt next. And to me, it's odd about the height requirement. Which is what on Thunderbolt again?
52.
52. Is that intense at all?
No.
Not in any way. So
I don't get it.
It's got to be the restraints, just the way the restraints are, and they have some interesting restraints. Like, do you remember the Jackrabbit restraint?
Yeah, it's a bar, basically.
Yeah, it's the permanent bar that's fixed, that doesn't move, and then it's just a seatbelt that comes over you, which is so unique and odd. Thunderbolt, 52 inches, not at all because of intensity, but again, those restraints. I love those cool-looking trains. I think those look pretty awesome, kind of Art Deco looking. And then again, those fun drops into the ravine where you can see bushes and trees underneath you. Not intense at all, but a fun coaster. And that leads us to Skyrocket, which was closed this year, which is kind of an odd ride for a launch coaster. You remember towards the end it has like those squiggles that go back and forth?
It's very random.
It's the oddest element on any coaster I've ever done, and they don't really do much. So I can't say I was that disappointed that it was closed, other than Alex would have had a chance to get on it for the first time.
Yeah.
Anything else you remembered from that ride?
I mean,
it was fine.
It's an okay launch.
And that's about it. So hopefully they'll get that up running soon. And that's why I never thought there was going to be a launch coaster for this new ride for Steel Curtain, because they already had a launch coaster. On to our ride of the day. And for this, it comes to Phantom's Revenge. Now, I only got to do it once each day, again, because of parent swap and just doing everything else. And it wasn't even that busy of a day, but we only got to do it once. I was hoping to get it onto it another time. And of course, since we're pretty new to the game, we never did Steel Phantom. So we have nothing to compare it to there. From what we heard, those inversions were brutal. Now, Phantom's Revenge. What did you think?
I loved it. It's very fun. Apart from the end, those airtime hills are just rough on your lap. It's so fun, and I love like the part where you're diving right around Thunderbolt and you're kind of flirting with the ravine, and I love that part.
So you talked about the airtime hills bothering you a little bit. Was it as bad as Magnum?
I would say they're about the same.
About the same. Because it's interesting, thinking about those two rides, and of course it was updated by Morgan around 2000. Phantom's Revenge is what I wish Magnum could be. That if it was that level of smooth and fun and not as jerky, then that could be as good of a ride. But I think it's just such a fun layout. That second drop, which is bigger than the first drop, into the ravine, so cool, so much fun, and a graceful coaster. And again, interesting restraints. Those cars are so different with that little bar that comes over you and a seatbelt. Very comfortable, and a shame that more rides don't have that. So a really excellent collection of coasters, and it just gets that much better with Steel Curtain opening up next year. Now, unfortunately, there's one credit that we didn't get both times, or your 200th coaster would have been a very different coaster. What credit were we not able to get twice?
Oh, Exterminator.
Both times. It was supposed to be our last coaster of the night, and both times it went down right as we got in line. Odd to have what I think is just an indoor wild mouse go down so much. It's just one of those unobtainables for us that we're going to have to do in the future. But a lot of people say the theme is great, although I think some theming isn't operable and has started to go downhill a little bit. But at some point, we'll get onto Exterminator.
Okay, Alex, sing it.
Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day. Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day.
Yeah.
For our tip of the day is at Kennywood. And for our tip, if you did buy a day ticket, it goes along with what we talked about earlier. If weather is getting bad and there are signs of storms or rain coming, don't leave before you hear the announcement that potentially you could get tickets for future visits. It's worth that patience and a great value if you're able to do that. EB and I even joked around that maybe we should looked at the weather forecast and waited and come back on a day that looked like it was afternoon thunderstorms, and that way it would have been like having season passes. You just keep coming back when there's bad weather, but that would have been silly.
Why?
Because it's good to support theme parks and actually pay for it instead of just going for free over and over and over.
Except for that one time that you paid for it.
Except for the one time we paid for it, right. So if you paid that initial $24 and then went for 30 years on that, it would come out to like 0.001 cent per visit. And we want to support our theme parks and keep them in business. On our trip over the next couple of weeks, which sadly Maddie and Melissa won't be able to go on, we'll be checking in from parks on our social media, so you can find us at Facebook and Twitter at Theme Park Fam. Again, send in those trip reports or anything at themeparkfamilies@gmail.com if anything exciting happens to your family, any exciting rides as we move on with the summer. For those kids who only have a couple of weeks left of school, enjoy it, and hopefully you get out to the theme parks here pretty soon. And for those with regular day jobs, hopefully you are all enjoying the parks as much as you can. Thanks again so much for joining us, and we'll see y'all soon. Andrew's one happening dude who is never called a lout.
Nah, I don't roll that way. I'm an OG. Andrew out. See ya. Peace.